Hey, what's going on? You know what time it is. It is that time. It is Wednesday. It's like 8:30 in the morning. I always like to try to get these out early when I can, when I have the day off. But you know what time it is. It's word of the day, Wednesday. Come on, somebody. And if you've been following these, you know that I'm kind of dabbling in a little one another action. 2 weeks ago, I did love one another. Last week, I did encourage one another. So I'm about to jump into another one another's. And so I found a cool little study, man. I use Google a lot, to study the Bible and stuff like that. Some of the stuff is good, whatever. But this little thing, it kind of breaks down all the one another's in one like pictograph. And so it talks about there's 100. It's mentioned 100 times, 94 times in the New Testament. 47 of those verses gave instructions to the followers of Jesus, and Paul wrote 60% of the one another commands. One another is two words, obviously in English, but in Greek it's one word. It looks like that right there. See how that's written? Greek. And it's alelon. That's how they pronounce it. Alelon. One another. So this week I'm going to be jumping into Galatians 6. And the term is bear one another's burdens. What does it mean to bear one another's burdens? Well, first of all, to bear one another's burdens, you have to know that your brother has a burden, which really brings it to, like sharing. I've heard, man, when you share your burden with somebody else, man, it may be, man, just a mistake that you made, or, man, something that you're carrying that is, man, getting a little too heavy, right? Could be, man, issues, man, at home, issues at work or whatever. When you share that, you literally cut your burden in half, because now you're not the only one thinking about your burden. You're not the only one that's praying about your burden. You're not the only one that's carrying that burden. And it's impossible for us to bear one another's burdens if people aren't sharing those burdens to begin with, right? And so, it talks about in Galatians 6, brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, sin, wrongdoing, mistake, whatever, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness, right? Which, man, it's sad, because that's typically not the case, right? When people are, man, caught in a mistake, man, sometimes, man, people try to take this Bible and beat them over the head with it, especially if this like huge study Bible, it really hurts. And instead, you should restore that person in a spirit of gentleness, right? Keep watch on yourself lest you too be tempted, right? Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Bear one another's burdens, so fulfill the law of Christ. And I was kind of, obviously looking at Google, looking at some study notes, and, what is that law of Christ, right? And there's a couple of different, things that it talks about, but mainly, man, Jesus came. Remy, stop. I'm about to go bear Remy's burdens right now, real quick. Hold on. I hate when he tries to play fetch, but the ball is nowhere near me. So anyways, man, the law of Christ. Jesus came in the New Testament and talks about, love God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself, right? And he describes like who was my neighbor, and that's when he's talking about the Samaritan, the Good Samaritan story. And so they're talking about that could be, man, fulfilling the law of Christ, basically loving your neighbor as yourself. There's also that whole love one another verse that I did 3 weeks ago, where it says, love others as I have loved you, right? And so that's another instance of fulfilling the law of Christ. So basically, man, living, man, to please God, man, living to fulfill, man, Jesus's commandments. One of the ways to do that is to bear one another's burdens, right? Help carry, man, your coworker, or man, your family member, or man, just people, man, in your circle of influence, right? And once again, man, people, you have to share in order to, man, get that bear. Ooh, you want somebody to bear, man, you got to share. All right. You want somebody to bear your burdens, you got to share your burdens. And so, man, this is super important, man. Obviously, man, this is one of the key things that Jesus did in his ministry, man. He bared the burdens of the entire world on his back when he went to the cross. And so, man, I always like to keep these short and sweet, man. Hope you guys are blessed today. Go out and bear somebody's burdens today. Man, it's somebody that's around you that's carrying something that they are not designed to carry by themselves, right? And so, man, let them know that you are a safe place for them to share, and then pray for them. Man, help them, encourage them, help bear that burden today. All right, be blessed.